Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the February 10th, 2016 edition of the Midweek Update here on Rasslin with Redbeard. If my eyes look red, it's not because of a lack of sleep. It's because I just watched Daniel Bryan's retirement ceremony again. Number 5 story of the week is that TNA and WWE officials apparently wanted to work with Lucha Underground. This is a very interesting story from the standpoint that you would never hear this type of thing in most lines of business, but the professional wrestling industry does invite strange bedfellows, and this is a situation to where WWE and TNA both seem to have seen some value in the Lucha Underground product. So the story goes, Triple H and some other WWE executives met with Lucha Underground's people in regard to possibly doing some talent type sharing or talent acquisition stuff. By contrast, you had TNA officials come in. The story goes that Dixie Carter may or may not have been involved, but regardless, their idea was to have a cross-promoted event during WrestleMania 32 weekend, and that went nowhere. Apparently, Lucha Underground's staff was not interested in pursuing that in any way, shape, or form because of the fact they didn't think it would be well received, and it's a pretty good idea, very savvy in their opinion, or on their part, I should say. But as far as the concept of the WWE being interested in some of their talent, it goes along with something else that we're going to touch on here later in the midweek update this week. But they're going for a lot of Cruiserweight style talent, a lot of independent style talent, and they're also trying to get, of course, into that very valuable Latin American market. So, of course, Lucha Underground has both of those in terms of their talent. Very interesting story. Doesn't seem to be going anywhere right now, though, because no one really came out of those meetings with any sort of handshake, wink, wink, nudge, nudge type of agreement. But we'll see where it goes. Could be something big to look forward to in the future. Of course, we're big Lucha Underground fans here on Wrestling with Redbeard, and we're looking forward to seeing what Season 2 has in store, and we're also looking forward to the fact there will be a Season 3 as well. So a lot to look forward to there from Lucha Underground in the future. Number 4 story of the week is that WWE is apparently pursuing a Cruiserweight or junior style show for the WWE Network. This is a pretty big coup for WWE, seeing as how forever they've been in the pursuit of big guys who are in the 6-foot plus range, big beefy Goliaths and whatnot, along the lines of Braun Strowman. But the more realistic, I think, approach to fighters and wrestlers overall these days is the smaller wrestler. Not to say that they're tiny by any stretch of the imagination, but we're talking guys who are in the 220 and below type weight scale. Could still be tall, could still be plenty athletic in terms of people who are in that style of body type, but you have a tremendous amount of athleticism that's typically pursued and presented, I should say, by people in that frame of body. And that really goes along with not only some of their more recent talent acquisitions, but also the fact that they have recently got involved with Evolve, and of course that roster there is almost made up exclusively of people that would be in that general type when it comes to looking at their body image. It's interesting from multiple standpoints. Like I mentioned, it will be a good opportunity to get the Evolve talent involved with the WWE programming, and give them a real opportunity to shine doing what they do best. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. We don't have a timetable for this program yet, but it is apparently in development and will be coming soon. So one more thing to spend your $9.99 on when it comes to the WWE Network. Number 3 story of the week is that ECW original Axel Rotten has passed away. Very sad story to share with you guys here in regard to this particular bit of news. Axel, as you probably all know, is a very well-known member of ECW's roster. He was a partner with Balls Mahoney in a tag team for a number of years, also worked with Ian Rodden. But despite all the blood and guts stuff that he did over the course of his career, he was a very well-trained wrestler, a very classically trained wrestler who was capable of doing more than just swinging chairs and bleeding all over the place. Very unfortunate story. ECW was a breeding ground, of course, for a number of top-tier talents, but it was also a breeding ground for a lot of addictions and a lot of things that were responsible for essentially, I don't want to say killing, but very close to killing a lot of Very talented athletes and great personalities. Of course, we've had the death of another ECW original, Hack Myers, here not too long ago. And this, in some way, shape, or form, seems to have affected Axel Rotten as well, because they were, of course, close in being locker room mates there in ECW. I won't share all the details in terms of the things that have come out in terms of where he died and how he died, apparently, but Axel was known for fighting his demons. Unfortunately, he had been spending a lot of time in a wheelchair here recently due to a back injury that he had been trying to deal with and was not able to really afford the surgery to repair. But it's a very unfortunate story, a very sad story for it to end the way it does. But there's been some reports of a biography that was being worked on by himself and a co-author that's apparently going to be finished posthumously. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. It'll be a very interesting read for sure. Do want to send out our thoughts and prayers to his family, friends, and loved ones. Rest in peace, Axel. Number 2 story of the week is our reaction to our experience with FLATLINE Pro Wrestling this past weekend in Grovetown, Georgia. I will say that I was very impressed with FLATLINE. I've been looking forward to seeing a show of theirs for a long time now and just haven't had an opportunity to go over to that part of the world and see what they've got to offer. Like I mentioned, very impressed. They've got a great setup, a fantastic crew there in terms of the talent that are involved. The show's headlined by a match between Anthony Henry and former TNA and Ring of Honor star Jimmy Rave. Those two went almost 45 minutes. I don't know how you would do anything for 45 minutes without taking a break, but they managed to do just that. Overall, there was not a really bad match on the card. There was one that I kind of questioned some of the booking, but still, it was a very entertaining show, and I would recommend that you check those guys out if you're ever in the area of Grovetown, Georgia. There's a possibility that this was their next to last show, however. Excuse me. There's a little bit of, I shouldn't say trepidation over whether or not it's going to be their last show or not, but the one they're advertising in March may either be their last show or it may just be their last show at the current venue they operate out of, which is the Grove Park, the Patriots Park Gymnasium there in Grovetown, Georgia. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there, but definitely a good show, definitely worth your money. Go check out FLATLINE Pro Wrestling whenever you can. And the number 1 story of the week, of course, is the announcement that Daniel Bryan is retiring. Bryan Danielson, or Daniel Bryan, whichever name you know him under, is a talent that is one in a lifetime in terms of his dedication to the craft of professional wrestling. I cannot say enough about the comments that he made during his retirement speech on Raw. You want to see a guy who has given his all to an industry only to have it eat him alive and yet still come out the other side wanting to do more of exactly what he had been doing for the past 18 years or so. You won't find anybody more in tune with it than that. His expression of gratitude not only to the business but to the fans and to his colleagues was a tremendous thing to see. And just to have someone who comes off with that level of appreciation for where they've been, what they've gotten to do in their life, and to not be bitter about it seemingly at all, even though professional wrestling has taken his health. It's taken seemingly years from his life, but it's also given him so much, and that is exactly what he talked about in his retirement speech. And I think that's what a lot of times we fall short of, not just him, but a lot of people in general fall short of realizing when it comes to what our careers afford to us, especially when we pursue something that we're passionate about, like the case of someone who decides to take that big risk and become a professional wrestler and do it full time. You just don't know how long it's going to last. There are plenty of examples of guys who have had careers that go for a couple of years and then they wind up having a severe injury and that's all they can do, and they wind up being horribly bitter over it. But at the same time, it's very refreshing to have someone like him come along and show the gratitude and show their appreciation for all that they've had and for all that they'll continue to have, because even though he won't be wrestling anymore, he'll still fairly certainly be involved with WWE at some point in time, and certainly involved with their product going forward as some type of ambassador. I think he would definitely be a first ballot Hall of Famer there as well. for obvious reasons. But I have to say we're glad to have been able to see him compete on a number of occasions. The last occasion was, of course, a match where he and CM Punk teamed together against the Wyatt family. That's been almost 3 years ago now. If you'd have told me then that if you'd have told me then that both of those men would no longer be in professional wrestling, roughly 3 years later, I really would have been shocked and turned on my head, because it just did not seem like something that was bound to happen. But here we are, both men no longer in pro wrestling for one reason or another. But there are a lot of folks still involved in the industry, and a few shows to be featured here this weekend, even though we know that it's Valentine's Day weekend and a lot of people will be celebrating various things other than the opportunity to get in the ring. They'll be mixing it up in a different ring, if you know what I'm saying. Please forget I ever did that on this show. At any rate, there are 5 shows that we are aware of happening this weekend, so we'll go ahead and roll those posters now, and we'll be back in a few moments to wrap up the show. There you have it, our wrap-up of the events that are happening in this part of the world this coming weekend. If you are a wrestler or a promoter or some way involved with a wrestling promotion and you didn't see your poster in that lineup, it's because of the fact we didn't know about it. If you would, go ahead and send us a line here on Rasslin with Redbeard, either on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, and let us know about your show. Send us your posters with other pertinent details. We'll be glad to put it out there for you and let people know that you're having an event. It's a big part of what we do here on Rasslin with Redbeard, promoting the shows and the talent in this part of the world. Appreciate you guys tuning in as always. If you enjoy the program, go ahead and click that like button. And if you really enjoy what we are doing here on the channel, go ahead and click subscribe. That way you'll know that you'll be among the first to know when we've uploaded something new, like match videos, midweek updates like this particular program here, or like what we'll have coming later this week, a new version, or a new edition, I should say, of the Rasslin with Redbeard main show. That'll be a show featuring our experiences with FLATLINE Pro Wrestling this past weekend in Grovetown, Georgia. Appreciate you guys tuning in once again. We'll see you next week.